I never thought a house could destroy a family. But his was so big, so impressive, that I lost myself completely in the illusion of what that life could give me. And now, sitting here with everything fallen apart around me, I don't even know who I am anymore. My name is Sarah, I'm 32 years old, and I need to tell you what happened because I can't carry this weight alone. Maybe you'll judge me, maybe you'll understand me, but I need to get this out. It all started 2 years ago when I was working as an interior designer in Boston. My life was simple, predictable. I had been married to Tom for 8 years. He was a good man, a high school teacher, someone who made me laugh and who I thought would be my forever. We lived in a modest apartment in Somerville, dreamed of having kids someday, and honestly, I thought I was happy. I thought that was enough. But then I met him, David Morrison. He hired me to redesign his mansion in Beacon Hill, one of those historic homes that take your breath away the moment you see them. 5 stories, original hardwood floors, a library that looked like something out of a movie, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Charles River. When I walked in for the first time, I felt so small, so insignificant. And he was there, standing in the foyer in an impeccable suit, with that confident smile of someone who has never heard the word no. If you're enjoying this story and want to hear more real confessions like this, please click the subscribe button right now. We're building a community here, and your support means everything. We're so close to reaching 5,000 subscribers, and you can be part of that milestone. Just one click on that red button and you're in. Trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. David was 45, recently divorced, no children. He was a successful investor, the kind of man who travels the world closing million-dollar deals. From day one, he treated me differently than other clients. He wanted to know my opinion on everything, asked about my life, listened with genuine interest. At first I thought it was just his way of being polite, but after a few weeks I realized there was something more in his gaze, in the way he smiled when I entered the room. I started spending more and more time at that house. Morning meetings turned into lunches, lunches into dinners. He would pour expensive wine and we would talk for hours about art, architecture, dreams. He told me about his failed marriage, how his ex-wife had never understood him, how he had felt alone even when he was with someone. And I, God help me, I started opening up too. I told him about my frustrations, how sometimes I felt trapped in a life that seemed too small for everything I wanted to be. Tom started noticing my absence. "You're working too much," he would say. "This client is taking up all your time." And he was right. But I would lie, say it was a big project, that it would be worth it financially. The truth is, I didn't want to stop. Being in that house, with David, made me feel alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. It was like I had discovered a version of myself I didn't know existed, someone more sophisticated, more desirable, more important. The first time something physical happened between us, I was measuring curtains in the master suite. He came up behind me so close I could feel the warmth of his body. "You have exquisite taste, Sarah," he whispered, "in everything." My heart was racing. I knew I should step away, should maintain professional distance, but I didn't. I turned around and our eyes met, and in that moment I knew everything was about to change. He touched my face gently and I didn't pull away. His lips found mine, and I kissed him back with a desperation I didn't even know I had inside me. Hey, if you're still with me and this story is keeping you hooked, do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds and it helps us so much. We're working hard to reach 5,000 subscribers, and every single one of you matters. Click that subscribe button and join this community of people who love real, raw stories. You won't regret it. That kiss changed everything. We started an affair. Stolen moments in that enormous house became my new reality. He would text me in the middle of the night and I would sneak out, telling Tom I had insomnia and was going for a drive. We would meet in hotel rooms in Cambridge, in his car parked in dark lots, anywhere we could be alone. The guilt was crushing, but the desire was stronger. David made me feel things I had never felt before. He was attentive, passionate, generous. He bought me gifts, expensive jewelry I had to hide, clothes I could never wear around Tom. But it wasn't just physical. That's what made it so dangerous. David and I would talk about the future, about running away together, about building a life in that big house. He would describe mornings, drinking coffee on the terrace, trips to Europe, dinner parties with interesting people. He painted a picture so vivid, so seductive, that I started believing it was possible. I started imagining myself as the woman of that house, the woman by his side, the woman who belonged in that world. The lies piled up. I told Tom I was working on multiple projects. That business was booming. Meanwhile, I was neglecting my other clients, my real work, everything that had built my career. My entire world had shrunk to just David in that house. My friends stopped calling because I always had an excuse. My sister noticed I seemed distant, distracted. "Are you okay?" she asked once. "You seem different." I assured her everything was fine, that I was just stressed with work. More lies. Always more lies. Then one night, about 6 months into the affair, Tom confronted me. I came home late, my hair still damp from a shower I had taken at David's. Tom was sitting in the living room, the lights off, just waiting. "Who is he?" he asked quietly. My blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" I tried to sound indignant, offended, but Tom wasn't stupid. "Sarah, I've known you for 10 years. I know when you're lying. Just tell me the truth. Who is he?" Before you find out what happened next, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support is what keeps these stories coming. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers and we can't do it without you. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and be part of this journey with us. Now let's continue. I could have lied again. Part of me wanted to. But standing there, looking at Tom's face, at the pain in his eyes, something broke inside me. "I'm having an affair," I said, my voice barely a whisper, "with a client." The silence that followed was deafening. Tom's face went through so many emotions: shock, disbelief, anger, grief. "How long?" he asked. 6 months, I admitted. He stood up, walked past me, and locked himself in our bedroom. I slept on the couch that night, listening to him cry through the door, hating myself more than I thought was possible. The next morning, Tom was gone. He left a note saying he needed space, that he was staying with his brother in Providence. He asked me not to contact him. I felt relief and terror in equal measure. Relief because I wouldn't have to keep lying. Terror because I had just destroyed the life of someone who loved me unconditionally. I called David immediately, crying, telling him everything. "Come here," he said. "We'll figure this out together." I moved into that house. Not officially, I still kept the apartment, but I spent most nights there. For a few weeks, it felt like a dream come true. Waking up in that massive bedroom, having breakfast in that gourmet kitchen, pretending this was my life now. David seemed happy too. He introduced me to his friends at a cocktail party, elegant people who talked about investments and summer homes in the Hamptons. I felt out of place, but tried to fit in, wearing the designer dress David had bought me, smiling and nodding at conversations I barely understood. But cracks started showing. David would get calls late at night, business emergencies, he said, and disappear into his office for hours. Sometimes I would hear him laughing, talking in that intimate tone I thought he reserved for me. When I asked about it, he would brush me off, say I was being paranoid. "You know how stressful my work is," he would say. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Then came the day that changed everything again. I was in his office, looking for a charger, when I saw his phone light up with a message. It was from someone named Eleanor. Can't wait to see you next week in Miami. It's been too long. My hands were shaking as I opened the conversation. There were dozens of messages going back months, some from even before I had met David. Flirty messages, intimate messages, photos. Eleanor wasn't the only one. There were at least 3 other women all having similar conversations with him. If this story is resonating with you, if you're feeling that tension and need to know what happens, please subscribe to the channel. We're working so hard to build this community and reach 5,000 subscribers. Your click makes all the difference. Subscribe now and don't miss any of the upcoming stories. I promise they're worth it. I confronted him that night. David didn't even try to deny it. Sarah, come on, he said, almost amused. You didn't really think you were the only one, did you? You're a beautiful woman, but I'm not the settling down type. I thought you understood that. I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. But you talked about a future, about us being together. He shrugged. I say a lot of things. It doesn't mean I'm making promises. The cruelty in his voice was shocking. This wasn't the man who had whispered sweet things to me, who had made me feel special. This was a stranger. I left that house that night, my few belongings thrown into a bag, tears streaming down my face. I had nowhere to go. Tom had filed for divorce. The papers had arrived the week before. My apartment felt like a tomb, full of memories of the life I had destroyed. I called my sister, finally ready to tell her everything. She listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she just said, "Come stay with me in Portland. You need to get away from Boston from all of this." I spent 3 months with my sister, trying to piece myself back together. The divorce was finalized. Tom kept his dignity throughout the entire process, never bad-mouthing me, just asking for a clean break. I heard through mutual friends that he had started dating someone, a fellow teacher, someone who apparently made him very happy. I was glad for him and devastated for myself. I had thrown away something real for an illusion, for a big house and empty promises. But the story doesn't end there. Last month I was back in Boston, trying to rebuild my career, taking on small projects, slowly regaining clients' trust. I was at a coffee shop in Back Bay when I saw him. David. He was with a young woman, maybe 25, looking at her the same way he used to look at me. They were laughing, his hand on the small of her back, and I felt sick. I wanted to go over there to warn her, to tell her who he really was. But what good would it do? She wouldn't believe me anyway. I hadn't believed the warning signs either. We need you in this community. If you've made it this far in the story, you're exactly the kind of subscriber we want. Click that button, join us, and help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Your support means we can keep bringing you these real, honest stories. Subscribe now. It literally takes 1 second. That's when things got even more complicated. As I was leaving the coffee shop, trying to process seeing David again, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Tom. My heart stopped. We hadn't spoken since the divorce, and I had respected his wish for no contact. "Sarah," he said, his voice tight. "We need to talk. Can you meet me?" I agreed, confused and anxious. We met at a park in Cambridge, neutral territory. He looked good, healthier than I remembered, but his expression was serious. "I need to tell you something," he started, "and I need you to hear me out before you say anything." I nodded. "Remember my cousin Rachel? She's a private investigator now. After we separated, I asked her to look into that client of yours, just to understand who you left me for." My stomach dropped. "Tom, He held up his hand. "Let me finish. Rachel found out some things about David Morrison. Sarah, he's not who he said he was. That house? It doesn't belong to him. He's renting it. The successful investor story? Mostly fabricated. He's drowning in debt and has been scamming women for years, getting them emotionally involved, and then manipulating them into giving him money or access to business connections. I felt the world spinning. "But I never gave him money," I said weakly. Tom looked at me with something like pity. "He was working up to it. Rachel found messages from other women. The pattern is always the same. Create the fantasy, make them fall in love, isolate them from their support system, then start with small requests that get bigger. You got out before that phase, probably because you didn't have the kind of money or connections he was looking for." The revelation was crushing. Not only had I destroyed my marriage for an affair, but the affair itself had been a calculated manipulation. David had never cared about me. I was just another mark, another woman to use until something better came along. The big house, the sophisticated life, all of it was a stage set, a performance designed to seduce and exploit. Your subscription really helps us continue sharing these stories. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there. Please take a moment to click subscribe. Be part of this growing community that values honest, real storytelling. It means the world to us. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked Tom. He sighed. "Because despite everything, I don't want to see you get hurt more than you already have. And because Rachel found out he's escalating. The woman you saw him with at the coffee shop? She's not just his latest victim. She's the daughter of a venture capitalist. David is planning something bigger, something that could be illegal. Rachel thinks he's going to try to scam her family out of a significant investment." "Should we go to the police?" I asked. Tom shook his head. "Rachel already tried. There's not enough evidence yet, and the women he's scammed before won't come forward. They're too embarrassed, too ashamed. But you could help. You know him. You've been inside that house. You might know things that could help build a case." I felt torn. Part of me wanted nothing to do with David ever again, wanted to move on and forget he existed. But another part of me thought about that young woman, about how I had been her just months ago, blind and trusting. "I need time to think," I told Tom. He nodded, understanding. "I know this is a lot, but Sarah, whatever you decide, I want you to know something. I've forgiven you. What you did hurt me more than anything ever has, but holding on to anger was only hurting me more. I'm with someone else now, and I'm happy. I hope you can find happiness too, real happiness, not the fake kind that David sells." We parted ways, and I cried all the way home. Not for Tom, not for David, but for myself. For the woman I had been, who thought a big house and an exciting affair could fill whatever void she felt inside. Now here's where I am, and why I'm telling you all of this. I've decided to help Rachel and Tom build a case against David. I've spent the last 2 weeks going through everything, old texts, photos, anything that might be useful. I've reached out to one of the other women David was involved with, and slowly she's starting to trust me, starting to share her story. But yesterday, I received a message from David. "I know what you're doing," it said. "Stop now, or you'll regret it. I have information about you too, things that could destroy what's left of your reputation. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to support this story and others like it. We're building something special here, a place where people can share their truth. Help us reach 5,000 subscribers by clicking that button. Your support makes all of this possible. I don't know what information he's talking about. I don't know if he's bluffing or if he really has something on me. The affair itself is already public knowledge among my friends and professional circles. What else could there be? But knowing David, knowing how calculated he is, I'm scared. Maybe he recorded our conversations. Maybe he has photos he could leak. Maybe he's planning to frame me for something. I don't know, and that uncertainty is eating me alive. The smart thing would probably be to stop, to walk away, to let someone else take David down. But every time I think about doing that, I see that young woman's face in the coffee shop, so trusting, so unaware of what she's getting into. I see all the other women who might come after her, and I think about my own stupidity, my own willingness to believe in something too good to be true. If I can prevent even one person from making the mistakes I made, Isn't that worth the risk? But there's more I haven't told you. Last week, David showed up at my apartment. I don't know how he got past the building security, but I opened my door and there he was, looking as charming as ever. "Sarah," he said softly, "can we talk, please?" Against my better judgment, I let him in. He sat on my couch, in the same spot Tom used to sit, and looked at me with those eyes that had once made me feel so special. "I know I hurt you," he began. "I know I wasn't honest about who I am and what I wanted, but Sarah, what we had, at least some of it was real. You have to believe that." I wanted to believe him God, even after everything. Part of me wanted to believe that it hadn't all been a lie. "What do you want, David?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I want you to stop helping them investigate me," he said. "I want you to remember the good times we had, the connection we shared, and I want to offer you something." He pulled out a folder from his briefcase. Inside were documents, contracts, business proposals. "I'm putting together a new venture," he explained. "Real estate development in Portland. It's legitimate, I promise. I need someone with your eye for design, your talent. Come work with me. We could be partners, real partners this time. I'm willing to give you 30% equity. That's a multi-million-dollar opportunity, Sarah. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss how this ends. We're counting on you to help us hit 5,000 subscribers. Click that red button right now and stay tuned for the conclusion of this story and many more to come. I looked at the documents. They looked professional, official. The numbers were staggering. If this was real, it would solve all my financial problems, would give me a fresh start, would make me someone important in my industry. But could I trust him? Should I trust him? "You're trying to buy my silence," I said. He smiled sadly. "I'm trying to give you what you deserve. I handled things badly before, I admit that. But this is a real opportunity. Think about it, Sarah. What do you really owe Tom and his cousin? They've moved on. Why shouldn't you?" He left the folder with me and walked out. I've been staring at these documents for days now. I've had 2 lawyers look at them and both say the opportunity seems legitimate, though they recommend due diligence before signing anything. Rachel thinks it's a trap, that David is trying to implicate me in whatever scheme he's running. Tom thinks I should burn the documents and forget David exists. My sister thinks I'm crazy to even consider it. But here's what keeps me up at night. What if it is real? What if this is David's way of making amends, of offering me something genuine after all the lies? What if I walk away from this and spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been? I've already made so many mistakes, destroyed so much. What if this is my chance to salvage something, to build something real out of all the wreckage? Or what if I'm just being seduced all over again? What if I'm that same stupid woman who fell for a big house and empty promises, just in a different package? What if by signing those papers, I'm not just compromising myself, but also putting that young woman and future victims at risk? The guilt of that possibility is almost unbearable. I have to make a decision by Friday. That's 3 days from now. David wants an answer, and so does Rachel. I can either sign those papers and become David's partner, potentially walking away with millions, but also potentially becoming complicit in whatever he's really planning. Or I can give everything I have to Rachel, help them build the case, and watch David potentially go to prison, but also watch my last chance at financial security disappear. If you've stayed with me through this entire story, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, share this video, help us grow this community to 5,000 subscribers and beyond. Your engagement means everything. Click subscribe right now. There's one more thing I haven't mentioned. Last night I couldn't sleep, so I drove past that house in Beacon Hill. David's car wasn't there, but another car was, expensive, unfamiliar. I sat across the street for an hour watching. Around midnight, David arrived with that young woman from the coffee shop. They went inside together, laughing, his hand on her back just like it used to be on mine. I felt sick, but I couldn't look away. Then around 1 in the morning, another man arrived. Older, distinguished, probably her father. He knocked on the door, looking angry. I watched David answer, watched them argue on the doorstep, watched the young woman come out crying. Her father grabbed her hand and pulled her toward his car. Before they left, he pointed at David and said something I couldn't hear, but the threat was clear in his body language. David just smiled, that cold smile I now recognize, the smile that says he's always 3 steps ahead, always has a plan. That's when I realized something crucial. David isn't afraid of being caught. He's been doing this for years, and he's never faced real consequences. The women are too ashamed to press charges. The evidence is always circumstantial, and he's smart enough to stay just on the legal side of fraud. Unless someone is willing to take a real stand, to put everything on the line, he's going to keep doing this. He's going to keep destroying lives, keep using that big house as bait, keep making women fall in love with illusions. So now I'm here, telling you my story, asking for your help in a way. What would you do in my place? Would you take the money and run, hoping the business opportunity is real and that you can justify walking away? Would you help build the case, knowing it might take years and might not even succeed? Would you try to warn that young woman directly, even though she probably wouldn't listen any more than you did? Please subscribe to our channel. Your subscription, your comment, your engagement, it all matters. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers, and we want you to be part of this community where we share real stories and support each other through tough decisions. Click that subscribe button right now. I look at myself in the mirror, and I barely recognize the woman staring back. I'm not the confident professional I was before I met David. I'm not the loving wife Tom deserved. I'm not even the naive woman who fell for a big house and charming words. I'm someone in between, someone who has learned hard lessons but isn't sure yet how to apply them. Someone who knows she should do the right thing but isn't entirely sure what the right thing is anymore. The folder of documents is sitting on my kitchen table. My phone has 17 missed calls from Rachel, 12 from my sister, 5 from David. In 3 days, I have to make a choice that will define not just my future, but possibly the futures of other women who might fall for David's schemes. And I'm terrified that whatever I choose, I'll look back years from now and realize it was the wrong decision. So I'm asking you, really asking you, what would you do in my place? Would you sacrifice your last chance at the big house, the successful life, the financial security to do what's right? Or would you take the opportunity, justify it as deserved after everything you've been through, and try to convince yourself that what David does to other people isn't your responsibility? Please, leave your answer in the comments. Tell me what you would do. Tell me if you think I'm being given a second chance or being set up for an even bigger fall. Because right now, sitting here alone in this apartment that used to be mine and Tom's, looking at that folder, thinking about that big house in Beacon Hill and all the lies it represents, I genuinely don't know. I don't know if I'm strong enough to walk away from millions of dollars. I don't know if I'm brave enough to risk David's retaliation. I don't know if I'm wise enough to see the truth anymore. After months of being manipulated and lied to, what I do know is that in 3 days, I'll make a decision. And whatever that decision is, I'll have to live with it for the rest of my life. The big house that made me crazy, that made me lose myself, that destroyed my marriage and almost destroyed me, it's still there, still beautiful, still seductive, and David is still using it to lure in his next victim. The question is, will I help stop him, or will I let myself be lured in one more time? Subscribe to the channel, please. We need 5,000 subscribers, and your support makes all the difference. Be part of this community. And please, please tell me in the comments what you would do, because I need to know I'm not alone in this impossible situation. I need to know what you think, what you would choose, how you would live with the consequences. Help me figure this out. Subscribe and comment right now. I'll be reading every single response, I promise you that. The clock is ticking. 3 days until I have to decide. And I still don't know which version of myself I'm going to be when Friday comes. What would you do in my place?